So, hello, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me and thinking of me. I really love sharing the journey of Viva la Faba. It's been a 4-year long journey. My name again is Ariana Alba Ferrari. Maybe a little bit about myself before I start talking about what's Viva la Faba. I'm from Peru and I live in Germany. This is where I co-founded the company Viva la Faba. The journey started as a university project while I was doing my master's degree, and then it has taken me through a very, very exciting with up and downs, journey challenges. So in a long story short, we created a fava bean cheese. Uh, Basically, uh, while we were doing our project 4 years ago, we realized that there were so many people that were very unsatisfied with the current vegan cheese on the market. At the same time, we saw that there was a very big trend in growth of people demanding a good vegan cheese that they could taste, that it could taste good, that they could trust the ingredients inside. And then they didn't have any dissatisfaction with the melting, the flavors, the ingredients. So then we made it our mission to craft the future of cheese using protein-rich beans and pulses. And this is our team, together with Jan on the far right. We founded the idea 4 years ago, and then little by little we started growing the team. And right now we are five people. As you can see, I'm super excited that actually we're more than 50% of women. And for me, super nice to be able to help these food scientists and continue their careers. We started with really no idea of how to come up with this project. And the challenge of the project was to use side streams from the primary agricultural sector into creating any type of food product. And because of the reasons that I explained before, we decided to go for vegan cheese. It's something that a lot of people are unsatisfied with. And we saw that there had a lot of big potential for it. At the same time, we saw that actually dairy cheese is one of the biggest contributors um, of emissions. So we said, okay, what an amazing project it is to actually bring into the market something that is also good for the planet. So as you can see, it took us 2 years to come up with an upscale production. And finally, this year, we were able to say, okay, actually, our project is feasible. We can make it into upscale. These 4 years of development, we tested with a lot of different ingredients. And finally, it was interesting because at the beginning, we were not called Viva la Faba. Actually, Viva la Faba came out after the 3 years of ingredient research because we found that fava proteins in being such an amazing ingredient, also good for biodiversity. And we call ourselves Viva la Faba after this period. A little bit more pictures about the journey of scaling up from lab to industrial. What makes it so special? Actually, recently we got awarded the best vegan cheese in terms of flavor and sustainability impact. It has great melting and browning. It has a lot of protein. It's the first cheese actually in the world that is made out of organic fava beans, all organic, all natural and plant-based ingredients. So a couple of more things. It's nut-free. It's made in southern Germany. It has cocoa-free varieties, 100% plant-based. Yeah. So as you can see, it's very versatile. We can you can use it for melting, also for snacks. We have 4 different varieties that are coming out this autumn. So we have mild versions. We have herbs de Provence, a little bit more aromatic, and also a flavor with more boldness. I'm going to skip this table because it's basically our USPs and how we stand out from the competitors. This is something very important because we're trying to challenge the conception of people who has tried vegan cheese before and are a little bit dissatisfied, and why we want to position ourselves as a better, superior product. How did we get to this point? Actually, we did a lot of market research and a lot of validation with people. We did focus groups, consumer tests, blind taste tests to make sure that we were co-creating a product that also we were sure that people actually resonated with our concept, with our branding, with our names, with the ingredients that we chose. For us, it was super important that that how we shape our decisions, besides co-developing with people, is actually that the ingredients that we choose have a positive impact on the environment. So by using the ingredients that we chose, we actually have a much lower water footprint, carbon footprint. We're better in land use, and also we're promoting healthier meals. So all tied together with the Sustainable Development Goals. So yes, so that brings us to the end of my short presentation. We really think that the future of cheese is also made from beans. Yes, so that's me. And this is my contact information. And please, I welcome any type of questions regarding this whole 4 years journey and my story as a woman founder. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ariana. I mean, it's very, very inspiring. I cannot wait to try your cheese. I haven't tried that yet. So
I'm excited for you to try it, Sarah.
Okay, Luisa. So
yes, so I was really lucky because I was able to try Ari's cheese in 2022, I think it was. It was amazing. So I can only recommend that. I'm going to start with this short quote. Coffee connects us in so many ways, to each other, to our senses, and to the earth that supports the coffee trees. And I think this is such an inspiring sentence, and this is what I want all my customers and anyone who has contact to Café del Cielo to think after it. But the reality is different. Many of us drink coffee, but how many of us know how those beans came into our table, or how those beans actually arrived at the store we bought it? And even more important, who is behind those beans? So, oops, I don't know. This is not moving. Yeah. So this is Café del Cielo, is my startup. And I'm going to tell a little bit as well about me. So I'm Luisa Mejia, the founder. I live in Germany. I was born in Colombia. And I grew also in the coffee farms, playing around with my cousins, playing between the coffee plants, hiding in the coffee sacks. And that was one of the most beautiful memories of my life. Many years later, I migrated to Germany to work as a scientist in the area of medical informatics and telemedicine at the university. And in a trip to Colombia in 2017, it was a life-turning event. I came to discover, while visiting my family in the coffee region, that there was a tiny farm for selling. And then I decided to buy this farm. And this is how this complete crazy journey started, with a lot of ups and downs as well, a lot of challenges, but also a lot of emotions and a lot of beauty in it. So what we do, we are a small coffee brand trying to make a radical change. So what we do is we produce coffee in our small family-owned farms in Colombia, and are harmonic with nature and paying a fair salary to our workers, including retirement rights, including healthcare, paid vacations. And then to sustain all this, because it's not easy for a small farm, we have to make a really big change, and that is to shorten the value supply chain. So what we do is we directly import, export, and distribute our coffee without any middleman, directly to end consumers in Europe. And with that system, we are able to produce actually our coffee with regenerative agriculture. So why we do it, and how all this crazy story started, and what is the idea behind it. So when I just said that one of the most beautiful memories of my childhood was playing in those farms. And One of the reasons why that was special is the nature around it. So Colombia is a mega diverse country with #1 in birds population and other type of small mammals. In our region we have more than 1,000, actually in our region 640 species of birds, but in the last years, there has been a lot of destruction due to monoculture and uncontrolled application of pesticides and herbicides. And this is why this is one of the strongest ideas behind Café del Cielo is to stop the biodiversity loss that we see every day. So, and of course, we cannot only stop the biodiversity loss without thinking on the other side of the equation, which is the human beings and humans around working on coffee. So the other big question in there is, how can this production be considered an economic activity if farmers are actually losing money? So while I immerse myself in the role of being a coffee farmer actually and understanding how coffee works, it became clear to me that this system cannot continue working like this. So basically, the coffee trade works in the stock market. Then in the stock market, there is people, and there are some people on Wall Street fixing a global price for the coffee, regardless of how much it costs to produce. And many times, this cost of production is way above the price that gets paid, that the farmer gets paid. So that was a difficult truth that I was confronted to, because while talking to my neighbors and experiencing that myself, after we started the transformation of changing our farm into regenerative practice, we went to the cooperativa to sell our coffee, which, by the way, it costs 10 euros to produce 1 kilo of coffee in our farm. I went to the cooperativa and they wanted to pay 5 euros. At the time, even less, because there was a time of the coffee crisis. It was 3 euros per kilo. So I was going to lose 7 euros per kilo. And this is, I'm not depending of this business, but my neighbors are depending on this business. So it really, if we look at this graph, what it shows is the price of coffee, of green coffee, in the last 45 years. And if we see, it has been always around $1 to $3 since 45 years. It hasn't changed. Although everything changes, everything gets, we know, more expensive every year. The green coffee beans, they don't get more expensive. So this is a truth and a system that we are committed to change. So this is also one of the reasons why the coffee farmers in Colombia have an average age of 54 years, because young people do not want to work anymore in the countryside. So it is important for us to understand that everything is interconnected. And for me, it was the moment to understand, when I recognized I belong to two worlds. I belong to the world of the producing country, Colombia, but I also belong to the world of the consumer country, Germany. And by bridging these two countries and by bridging this gap of knowledge, this is how the idea of Café del Cielo was born. So this is our team. Most of them are, of course, well, they are almost all in Colombia, and we together have been working the last 6 years to transform those little farms into regenerative agriculture. The idea behind Café del Cielo is, of course, not making change with one farm. The idea is to scale, to convince all our neighbors to make this change and to capture more value for the coffee at the same time by selling all together, because the export is not easy. As a small farmer, we would need to produce a lot of coffee in order to do that. but by putting all our efforts together, the long-term vision is to create really a natural reserve in the region and create a place for all this biodiversity to go to stay and grow further. So this is just how a little bit of illustration of the new farm that we bought last year, and all are actually the animals that live in the farm. So we already saw the red haulers and the I don't know, what is it, armadillo called?
Armadillo.
Armadillo, yes.
Yeah.
The puma, we haven't seen it, but we have seen some traces, and there has been some reports that there have been large felines around the farms. So this is just to close a little bit. In Europe, most of the coffee companies start with the coffee bean. Our business start with the seed, and we take one decision at each of the 12 steps that are required to produce coffee. So with that, that is Café del Cielo.
Thank you so much, Luisa. Yeah, so I think, I mean, both the stories are so impactful, and I really celebrate you too, because I think it's, I mean, amazing that you're like, you have this drive and these great stories behind. But now I want to jump into the practical part of the session, and I want to learn a little bit from both of you. So you both talked about challenges, and we know that, I mean, being an entrepreneur is actually a journey of challenges. But what were these main challenges that you have faced that really, confronted you with, I mean, difficult moments, let's say, and how you overcame those? So maybe, I don't know who wants to start and tell us a little bit. Maybe Ariana, you can start.
Yes, I think for us, the challenge in the beginning was the nature of how we got started, meaning we were all students at that time. We were trying to finish up our master thesis. And once we won the competition, the project that I mentioned in the beginning, the actual judges of this competition reached out to us saying, hey guys, I think you guys have a really special thing that you've developed in the last 11 months as a university project. Would you like to continue? Because we have a proposal for you. So when they came out with this proposal, that it was an investment proposal and also a little bit of an accelerator, we really felt a little bit alone. Like we didn't really know the terms. We didn't really have the lingo to talk about, okay, let's negotiate. What does that mean? Who is the owner of the IP? Is it the university? Because we developed it inside. So this whole process took like 6 months for us to feel a little bit like agency for the project. And this took a lot of energy for us that had to reach out to, of course, we didn't also have a budget for lawyers, and just reaching out to our local startup network, kind of see who could help us, who could guide us. Our teachers in the university had not really been faced with these challenges in such a early stage. So yeah, that was a bit of a challenge. That was the beginning. But then I think joining accelerators and meeting, being part of the startup ecosystem locally also helped us a lot. This is one of many challenges. So you can, yeah.
And I have a question for you, Ariana. So was it difficult for you to be, I mean, in the whole journey until now, to be actually a female founder? Did you feel okay because of being a female founder?
Yes.
Maybe I don't have all the opportunities that I should have, or people don't pay attention to me, or I don't know, what challenges did you have as a female entrepreneur?
Okay. So on this regard, I will say that I think challenges for females really, they are shaped by ethnicity, age, location, economy. So it's very different for every person. And for me, coming from a Latino culture, being in Germany, I'm really used to having a little bit of this machismo culture, meaning like I'm used to being constantly interrupted when I'm presenting ideas and stuff like this. And I felt like when I was going into meetings with my co-founder, Jan, who's a man, I felt like I was holding back my tongue a lot when I wanted to ask questions, when I didn't understand things. And I realized that me and him had the same skills, had the same knowledge. We studied actually the same program, but he didn't have this reserve. He was asking, like, what is it for us? How much money? And for example, I remember one investor mentioned, oh, yeah, I think we're going to get 70% of your shares. And in my head, I was like, you're out of your mind, but I didn't say it. And Jan, my colleague, said it. And I was like, like I wanted to say it. I also felt it, but I didn't say it out loud. And I blame it a little bit in my culture coming from Peru. And yeah, this is something that I'm learning. Yeah, these 4 years I have gained a lot of exposure and really just challenging my own thoughts. But yeah.
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
this is one.
Luisa, so how it's been for you?
It has been really crazy because one of the big challenges, but it was also the starter of everything, is that I really didn't know anything about coffee at the beginning. So I just jumped into this decision out of my gut, really a crazy decision. But I didn't know about coffee. So coffee is a very male-dominated industry, and especially at the origin. So all these farmers are used to work with other men, and they are used to be, the typical macho strong who is, and I am a young woman living in Germany, which is another stereotype. What am I going to tell them, and to start changing this mindset? Because when we started, we had to take a lot of hard decisions. And I was feeling, as you, Ariana, also very lonely in those decisions, because I was like a solopreneur, bootstrapping everything, supporting everything, and having to learn. And this is where my scientist part came in, just having to learn and read as much as I could, and then argue with them and tell them, no, we are not going to use these poisons. No, we are not going to keep using this way or producing this way. So one of the hardest decisions at the time was to cut out around 70% of the plants which were already producing coffee when we started. And the decision came because those plants were not resistant to disease. And I knew with climate change, we will have a lot of extended periods of rain or drought. And we will need to spray a lot if we want to produce something with this type of plants. So we need to cut them and start planting new varieties that are disease resistant. And first of all, to convince these guys to cut the trees that are already producing, like all my neighbors, they were like, you are just crazy, you're out of your mind. And I just pushed so hard for this decision. It was months and months of fighting with them until they, okay, we will do it. And then we did it. And that was already 6 years ago. And now they are so in love with this mindset and with the culture, and they themselves, they think they just decided themselves. They don't even remember of those fights and we, trying all this. So that was, I think, one of the biggest challenges of this business has been fighting this mindset and really starting the change.
Lisa, and I'm a little bit curious how it's been for you. Entering the German market. There's been any challenge there?
Absolutely.
Or
so
for sure many, but maybe like a key challenge.
Yeah, I think one of the key challenges is, of course, navigating all the bureaucracy as being, a foreigner, and navigating all the German language and all these things. Although I lived for so many years already here, is very complex. And also having access a little bit on the networking, really networks that bring you further as a woman is not very easy. I think those are some of the main challenges that I have had so far.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, to both of you. So, Michael.
Yeah, being finance guy myself, I would be of course interested to hear about specific challenges of financing of I mean, and I've seen some crowd financing in the slides. However, beside female founders, you have also a physical product, which is sometimes a bit more challenging to finance than a scaling up software solution. You have food, which is can be a headache for itself. And at least the coffee part, I don't know where, Ariana, where you source your materials, but at least the coffee is definitely not coming from Germany. So you have also the remoteness of your production. How all of this added up for you in terms of financing?
Yes, I was like, where do I start? For us, we started off with a convertible loan. We thought that in the beginning, this is what we needed to just get off from this prototype concept phase into, okay, actually, we have something going on. For us, we're privileged that this came fairly easy because it came from that university project. However, once that was over, actually 6 months before the runway was over, we started reaching out to the external community. And for this, we were pitching to different VCs, angels investors in Germany, within Europe, in the US. And we realized how difficult it was. Like everybody was really interested to getting to know us. Like who is this group of students who have this amazing idea that nobody has ever done before? We realized that although the interest was there, we were not a VC ready case because they wanted to see market traction. They wanted to see that we actually could make it into the market before they even say, okay, now we're gonna support you in the next financing round. So then we pivoted a little bit our strategy and decided that actually, if we were able to convince a VC to actually invest in us before we had market traction, they were going to take a lot of shares. So then we decided to do a crowd investment, and also started talking to local family offices. And what changed for us was actually a family office that was into female empowerment, into environmental, into impact investment. And this conversation was completely different. It was not so much about, okay, tell me about your exit strategy and when can I see it? It was more about like, okay, what are you guys doing into team development and what are your goals? What really moves you? And it was a much nicer conversation. Also, most of our after ingredients, we really aim it to be as local as possible. Of course, it's impossible, but 75% of our ingredients are sourced within Western Europe, mostly Germany, and there's 2 ingredients that we have to source it from Asia, actually. But yeah.
So how long did it take to secure the investment? Because you said 6 months before it ran out. So were you on time, or was it just on time?
No, we had to bridge with our own personal savings, which was super scary. But then the whole process took a year. Took a year that we were just doing a lot of pitches. Every day we were pitching, sending samples. Yeah. We got pretty far in most of the conversations, but then it stopped when they said, okay, call us when you're on the market, and then we're happy to support you. And then yeah, we're still trying to make it to the market, so we're not there yet.
Yes, for me, it has been bootstrapping from the beginning. I have been very reluctant to raise capital. First, because I think it takes a lot of time and energy that I rather invest in my company. And it has been a very slow growth, but a steady growth. So every year, so last year, we reached break-even point, and then the customer base growth every year, which is a very good sign. And well, we'll see how it develops further. So the idea is basically, my first idea was this prototype or pilot concept of the farms being transformed, because I knew that if I go to these farmers and tell them, hey, let's implement regenerative agriculture into your farm, and I will open access to the market, to the European market, so that you can get more value, they will say, oh no, because they don't know where they are embarking to, what are the consequences of it, how does this look in the reality. And now they're starting to look at our farm. What are you guys doing there? Why are those plants so strong? Why are so many animals coming to your farms? What is this? And I knew that this can only happen if we really lead by example. And this is very much what is behind. So I know it is going to be a slow growth. And in the moment that we are closing, well, to scale up and get them on board, then I will see how to secure capital. But for now, everything is working fine. I always say I didn't choose the short path, but the most beautiful one. So we will see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. So now I would like to learn a little bit about what the strategies basically did you implement in order to overcome all those challenges or barriers that you have had until now in your journey, let's say. It could be gender related, but it could be in general. Just think about the biggest challenges you just mentioned before. So what were those things that helped you to overcome these challenges?
Yeah. For me, it really is part of making, it could be very lonely in the startup. So for me, it's very important that I feel like I'm part of a community of supporters. So on this is befriending other fellow female startup founders, being part of accelerators, attending networking events, because there's a lot of challenges, ups and downs, fuck ups that we go through as founders. And this is the only way to say, okay, I'm not alone. You went through this. How did you handle it? And it's also super helpful for resource sharing. I think not being afraid of asking for help, of reaching out. Most of the people within the startup network have gone through it again. For us, actually, a food startup ecosystem is difficult. It's not like we're huge, so it's three of us that we know each other. We always get invited. Also, for example, for the university, they're always promoting us and like asking us to share a little bit about our experiences. I'm also happy that in my university and in this network, they value the perspective of me as an immigrant, as a woman, and I'm always happy to get on stage and talk a little bit of what I went through. And this is the only way to also help others, because I can imagine that being like a successful startup within this network helps other people or helps other women that are also curious and see, okay, if she's a woman and she's from Peru and she was able to do it with all the complexity of being in Germany, okay, maybe let's take the risk.
Thank you, Ariana.
Yes, I very much agree with Ariana. I think for me, it has been two things. First, that vision, that bigger vision that keeps me going, because I know where, like, I can see it happening, and then kind of like there are a lot of obstacles on the way, but I can see, where I want to go, and I can see that goal before my eyes. And I think that is one of the things that inspire me very much. And the second is that network. I think the break was such a inspiring experience. So the break was female entrepreneurs program in Europe, closing the gap. And it was 1 month in Spain with other female entrepreneurs. I think the program is about 1,000 women in total.
Yeah.
And I think that has been so lovely for me to have that female support and not only at a level of at professional level, but also a human level. That strong connection has been really amazing.
Yes. And yeah, I agree with that, Luisa. And also I think it's super important that when we enter, because I'm sure it also happens to you, Luisa, you enter male-dominated meetings or male-dominated, like in our production co-producer, it's just male. Feel like you are there and you should claim your space, even though you're the minority, you're the outsider.
Yes.
You have every single right to be there and ask questions and not holding back. And this is something that maybe doesn't happen since the beginning. It's a mindset change that we have to go through to overcome this.
Yeah, and I think also there are so few success stories by women that it is important to show every successful story to inspire others. Good friend told me about the dance of the bees. When the dance of the bees, so that the reproduction happens, the bees will learn from the older bees that dance. It is not transmitted genetically. So I think it's very important. It's very important to show others.
Yes.
I mean, I just would like to comment on that because, I mean, for me also, I mean, I agree with both of you. I was also part of the break. And many people think that the entrepreneurial journey for a female entrepreneur or founder is different from a female business. Yeah, I mean, like for women in business, let's say in general, so in the corporate world, and it's just the same. So we face the same challenges regardless of where we are. And I mean, for me, for both things, so in my entrepreneurial journey and also working in the corporate world, I mean, it's super like helpful to have this support system, seeing that, I mean, we all face the same challenges, the same things you were like just talking about. I mean, I also have faced them in the corporate world. So I don't think it's really, it's different from each other. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing these experiences with us. So Michael, we have 15 minutes, so I think we should jump to the Q&A. What do you think?
Yeah, let's see how the audience feels about questions. Of course, we are very happy to incorporate your questions into this dialogue. So far, in the chat, we do not have a question. So I hope that everyone who wants to ask something is now brave enough to step up, unmute, and ask the question. If not, we, of course, got some, I'm still curious about some other aspects of your businesses.
We have a question.
Yes.
So here we have a question. What is the thing you need next? Just give me 1 second that it just closed. What do you need to grow in order to grow?
Okay, what we need is to finally launch in the market. We've been trying to be as loud as possible to tell people we're here and this is what we're offering to improve the food system. But right now we're having a little bit of a setback in production because really a free refrigerated product and a dairy alternative is such a difficult product to bring. This is why we didn't set up our own production plant. Although our dream is to have our own production plant, when we're this little, it doesn't make sense. It's better to align with a co-producer that maybe has the machinery, has the expertise, has already the personnel to help you go through everything in the beginning. And then maybe after we gain these years of experience, then set up our own plant. However, it's still super challenging. There needs to be a lot of trials, of test productions. Every little change changes the whole production. So right now it's yeah, for us is to be patient and wait until it's finally ready and it has all the certifications and we can finally launch.
Thank you, Ariana.
For me, I think growing a team. So because I see my vision, but there are risks on that this vision gets too one-sided because it's only me. So I need more fresh thinking and some other perspectives. And I think this is where I need a team to support that vision and to scale up. So that would be it.
Thank you,
very
Luisa.
much. Thank you. So until we get a new question from the audience, I would still like to ask my question referring to sustainability. I mean, it's kind of obvious from what you do that there is a lot of sustainability included in your business model, but I think there is going to be more than just the food sustainable part in your business model. Maybe you could give us some insight, some additional insight on which aspects of sustainability you included in your business model.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was looking at the biggest impacts of our food system, that was biodiversity loss, the emissions, and also the degraded soils. So for us, it was a little bit about, okay, we want to promote regenerative agriculture, and we also want to promote the transition from dairy farmers to plant-based farming. And part of our business model is to do this through, at first, promoting organic agriculture, which is regeneratives. We're making sure that our ingredients are not harming the health of the people that are growing the ingredients, and also not the soils. And we also want to help on this transition within Germany. We see there's a lot of push towards switching into a plant-based protein diet, and we see a lot of support coming also from the government for farmers within Germany to make this switch. And this is something that we have super in mind when we're choosing ingredients and kind of our long-term goals.
Thank you.
For us, so the work we have been doing is guided for sustainable development goals. One is no poverty and decent work and economic growth, and that we really take care on paying a minimum wage to our workers, paying healthcare, paying retirement, paying vacation. This is a unique case in Colombia. I can tell you that no coffee farmer receives this type of conditions. And with that, we already see some younger people who wants to really work with us because they have long-time perspectives. And this is where we see a lot of impact, and also their health is permanently improving because they do not have to work with chemicals. Yeah. The other is the life on the land. As I said, we offer, of course, a home to all these animals that live in the farm, and that's why we work basically regenerating the health of the soil first, and for that we use compost, we use bokashi, we use also beans. So Ariana, we plant a lot of beans, and beans are really good for the environment. So I can totally agree with you. And then the other SDG that we work on is responsible consumption, because there is a big knowledge gap between first the consumers in Europe. They don't know about those problems. Many of them, they are not aware of what is happening really. But a lot of these big companies who are only supporting shareholders, these big groceries or big coffee companies, that is $1 million or $1 billion euro industry, and to see that the farmers who are creating the products are just not able to live out of this there is someone is lying, and this is where I see a lot of need to really close that knowledge gap. Yeah, so those are basically the four SDGs that we work on.
Okay, so that connects actually perfectly with my question. I don't know if you have more questions here. I would love to ask a question.
Yes,
okay,
please.
could we? Yeah, please. But can I ask a small question, because it's really connected to what you were mentioning, and it's about education. So how are you making sure to educate people on all these topics? Because I mean, I can agree with both of you. Also, Luisa, I come from Colombia, and really, you don't know how coffee is produced. You have no idea. You just drink coffee all the time without really this, like awareness of the process. And I mean, in Europe, I can imagine it's even worse because it's just more far away. So what you guys are doing to kind of overcome that and make sure that people, make responsible choices?
Yeah. For us, our primary consumer target are vegans, are people that are health conscious and very conscious and aware about the way we consume. However, just thinking about vegans only would be a little bit too niche for us. We actually really want to support, and we actually want people to understand the benefits of trying out plant-based diets, also for as an individual health and also for the planetary health. However, based on our surveys and all these focus groups, people don't like to be told what to eat, what not to eat, and people don't like to feel so bad about eating. So we really try to tailor our communications into turning something positive. So for example, in our social media and our communications, we're not talking so much about, oh yes, this industry, do not support it. We are activisms, but more into like, let's change it. Hey, let's work together. Let's work together into, try it from time to time. Hey, it's veganery. This is your chance to try this margarita pizza with Viva la Faba queso, and this is important for us also spreading this knowledge and awareness, to not turn off people because we need to grow the demand, so people can also be conscious but also have fun with it. It's interesting within the food and psychology, really.
Thank you, Ariana. I, by the way, love your social media content. It's really good. So you should go and take a look at Ariana's content. Luisa.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit different. I have been more doing education on like going to universities and schools and really telling a lot about the story and inspiring a lot of people and a lot of young people who are really pushing for that change. And for me, it's also the communication part has been more of inspiring people through the beauty of nature. So that's why all our products and our communication is basically very aesthetic and bringing all this beauty from the farm to be really touched by the people and really see them, face it. So I think that is also more of a positive sense on how to do things differently.
Okay, so I feel very connected with your brand. So I really feel that the way you show your brand and you communicate everything visually is just so beautiful, and it just connects you with your brand. So I really love it. I would just want to add to it.
Yes, thank you. The social media is terrible. It's difficult, but anyways, go ahead.
We had one question in the chat, or one person interested to ask a question.
Yes.
We would like to ask
Santa.
Santa, unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very inspiring. Maybe a long question, but I hope I can manage. So what I do, like kind of, we have a software for restaurants and also web app. And we offer half price for the restaurants who are supplying from the organic or like sustainable suppliers. So whenever they get something for the restaurant from the, in our minds, sustainable brands. So we want to give them half price or like half charge from what we are offering. But the thing is that we would like to ensure that the suppliers, when they say the supplier is sustainable and they really care about planet and so on, how can we, as a faraway company, can ensure that it actually is. Would you both, for example, do certificates? Because I usually know it's so unfair that the sustainable companies have to do the certificates when, you know, the ones who does the shit, let's say rudely, they don't have to do any certificates, which cost a lot of money. So we kind of don't want to push for the certificates, but we would like to also check that it really is nice company. So what would you say from your side as suppliers? What would be the kind of quick solution?
Yeah, this is a difficult because, for instance, the ingredients that we source are not directly coming from the agriculture, from the primary sector. We get actually, for example, the processed fava bean protein. So besides having the organic label, it's difficult to track because in many cases all the ingredients are coming from different sources, and it's difficult to trace exactly if all the fava beans are coming from one specific country unless we have the certifications. But since we cannot afford having all these certifications, the only thing that we could do, if you're not pushing for the certifications, is, I don't know, check on their websites, and reach out to the company owners and challenge these questions. Maybe this is something like a feedback that you could get immediately, and to further understand their supply chain.
Yeah, I would like to add something there, because for us, this has been a really big question for a long time. Should we go for the certification or not? And one of the points is normally in coffee, because I already told you, like, farmers are already losing money by growing coffee, and then how to put more burden on farmers who are already in the brink of misery to pay for expensive certifications. So that's really, really difficult. And what is happening in Colombia, it works like there are certifications that can be shared for multiple farmers, but then all coffee beans get together. So you really lose the quality because you don't have the traceability of the single farm. And mostly it's so that there is a container or an allowment for organic products to be imported into Europe. So they fill out all the containers with organic until one point when this allowment is complete, then all the other coffee, even if it was produced organic, is just labeled as normal produced coffee. So it really is, I think that the certifications give a lot of trust, but it's a shady business in that all the money is going to the certification companies, and what it really is coming at the end of the chain is not much. So I really have a very complex opinion with certification. So I think what Ariana was saying, like, reach out. It's difficult if you have so many suppliers, of course, but I think it's worth it to do the due diligence and ask.
Thank you very much. So we are running out of time, but we have one more question. Is it okay for you if we get it answered? Do you have 5 more minutes? Yeah?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so it's from Sharon. She's asking, is your product governed by different additives you need to add when exporting to different countries?
For us, it's quite the opposite, because as we are governed by the EU organic certification, we are not allowed to add any additives. And this is the same law within all Europe. We still haven't thought about exporting to countries like the US. So I'm not sure about how that would look like. But as we have the organic certification in Europe, then we cannot add anything.
And we don't have any additives. It's only natural coffee. So
yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much. It was very inspiring. I'm sure that after the session, many of you will have more questions. So feel free to, we'll add the video of today's session on LinkedIn. Feel free to start a conversation there if you have questions. So I'm sure Ariana and Luisa will be happy to answer this to you.